What's up, everybody? This is Patrick with Fantasy Philosophers back for another episode. My co host Dustin wasn't able to make it today, but the good news is we do have a special co host on deck for y'all, my good friend and league mate, Zack. What Zack and I will be diving into today, we're going to just talk about surprises and disappointments thus far in the NFL fantasy world, for lack of a better term. What are we, Zack? Through week six?
Week six.
Week
Yeah.
six. I'm scared to count, because in the beginning I was feeling like, hey, this is smooth sailing, no issues. And then unfortunately, as of late, you know, the you know what had something to say about it, but we won't even speak about that today. It's all positivity.
Yes.
Quick
Yes.
shout out to everyone who showed love, but special thanks to you, Zack, for joining us. I'm always glad to have you. We'll be sure to include your Twitter handle so people can follow you. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, surprises and disappointments. So, Zack, as of today, what is your absolute biggest surprise in the fantasy football world when it comes to redraft leagues?
I would say how high um, James Robinson probably is going right now. I mean, no one saw what he was going to be able to do in Jacksonville before the season started. Before the season started, we thought it was a four-net backfield for the most part. And then once they traded him, he exploded, man. And I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, to me personally, that's probably the biggest surprise period in fantasy football is James Robinson.
It is, and what hurts my heart is I didn't even know who the guy was, but I know in a couple of dynasty leagues I somehow ended up with him at the end of drafts, and I don't remember what the specific reason was, but I needed to make roster room, and I let him go, and yeah,
Oh man,
the rest is history. So that's
you're the guy.
that. So enjoy. I definitely missed out on two separate opportunities, but that's okay. Can't have them all.
Man, that's
Surprises,
tough.
thinking about surprises for me, it's Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen. I did not believe that he was going to ever be able to be an effective passer in the NFL. I thought he would be a good quarterback just based on his athleticism, his rushing ability, just his competitiveness at that. But seeing the strides that he's made, it's just wow. How often does that happen? You hear, I heard Troy Aikman talking about him this most recent Monday while they were playing Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And, hearing Troy Aikman talk so highly about him, that goes without saying. Obviously, the guy has, the intangibles, the physical traits that you obviously can't teach, but he's put in the work. And the Bills went out and got him this weapon in Stephon Diggs. Um, I'll kind of combine two surprises in one.
Man,
I didn't think Diggs would do anything this year. Like, it didn't
I let
matter
him.
how far Diggs fell. I was just going to keep passing him and passing him and passing him. And holy shit, what a mistake.
Man, I must have passed on Diggs 7 times
I
because I
mean,
just I
he
in
was
my mind
off my board. That's what he
in my
was.
in my
Off
mind
my board.
I said, who's going to throw him the ball? He's not going to get any passes. And right now, they look like the Bills of '92. They look like the Bills with Jim
It is
Kelly,
nice to
Ray Rogers.
watch. It's real
They're
nice to
like those Bills.
watch. What's real interesting is, I'm not a Bills fan, but I respect how they play, and especially Bills Mafia, the way they party,
Hmm.
they get down. But they're just always one of those teams that just grit it out. They're competitive. They always have a defense, just one of those almost ground and pound types, it seems, at least to me. And then to see them open it up the way that they have, Now, Josh Allen, he's still shown, unfortunately, some inaccuracies. I can
Mhm.
think of a few just easy touchdowns that he just completely missed. But the fact that he is being given so much time by his offensive line. I mean, that's one thing that really stood out to me is this guy is just standing there waiting for someone to get open. And then worst case scenario, he takes off running. And with his frame, I mean, you know, that's like a fullback or linebacker running at you, but probably
Yes,
faster than you
yes.
expect. So
The guy's what is he?
what a
6'4"?
weapon, man. I just I feel bad for the running backs there in Buffalo because just having such a dominant presence with your quarterback in the run game down there, that's got to hurt all the Singletary and Zach Moss owners, certainly. But that's my biggest surprise. So we're gonna go shift over to a slightly less positive topic. Zach, tell me, as of now, what's your biggest disappointment? Or who is your biggest disappointment, whichever way you
I,
want to go?
I'm gonna go with AJ Green. AJ Green has, I mean, he's had one productive stat line of this in 6 weeks. One game I don't think he caught a ball. I mean, you see the production from the other receivers from in Cincinnati. Taj Boyd. I'm sorry, not Taj Boyd, but Boyd is balling. The rookie they got from Clemson, he's balling, um, and he's not doing anything. I mean, this guy is not. He couldn't catch a cold outside, butt naked in the winter right now. I mean, it's really bad. It's really really bad. I mean, the guys who drafted him, I'm one of those guys who drafted him. I mean, I'm holding on to see maybe if he has a spark or something clicks, but I just don't with I just don't see, if he continues this type of production, he won't be there next year. They will cut ties with him. I just don't see. I mean, I don't know if his foot or if his ankle is still hurting, or if it's not healed right. But he's not getting separation. He doesn't get separation on his routes. He's dropping balls. Um, his completion rate is just ridiculously low. It makes no sense on why it's so low. I think personally that he needs to step it up. I mean, he had a good game last week. I will say I think got 8 of 11 targets last week, something like that. He caught a few. I want to say 8 of 11 if I'm not mistaken. Targets last
Yeah, the
week.
fact that he's had so many targets this early on in the season, and I know it. I think after week 3, he had the most air yards in the NFL. The fact that the production and the stats just aren't there, it's real surprising for a guy of his talent level. You know.
Yes, and AJ Green been known for his route running. Everyone in the league knows his route running is crisp, and in his athleticism. But I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any of that right now. I mean, if you look, he's not getting separation on the DBs. The acrobatic catches he were making, in his prime years, he's not making now. I'm surprised. He is really disappointing me in this league, especially from where he was drafted. He was drafted pretty, mid tier to almost low, and he hadn't even produced for like a low player. He's one of those guys that you would pick up on the waiver wire. He's turned himself into a waiver wire guy, and that's not good.
Not at all. Not at all. So I have a couple things that I just have to mention when it comes to disappointments, and I'll get the first one out of the way. So the Houston Texans finally get rid of Bill O'Brien, and they came out to play. They came out to play. My biggest disappointment seeing how hard that team played was Romeo Cornell going for 2 instead of kicking the extra point to go up 8. And of course, they went for 2, didn't get it, went to overtime, lost the coin toss. The rest is history. That was devastating. I'm not a diehard Houston Texans fan, but I do root for them. And just seeing how well that they played, especially against a team of that caliber. I felt that they deserved to win, and why he decided to do that, I couldn't tell you. It makes no sense from a coaching standpoint at all. I'm led to believe maybe emotion got in the way, which, again, as a coach, you can't let that happen. But I was just really sad to see that happen. But enough with that. Let's see. So my biggest disappointment aside from that would just be all the injuries, just to get out of the way, because I mean this season is unprecedented. I'm 33, so I can't go back, too much further than that. But just seeing all the injuries, the frequency of them, the relevancy of them, and to how many stud fantasy players they've hit through just a few short weeks was just crazy. um Thank God that we at least have a season, but that was certainly a disappointment for sure.
I feel like this is going to be the league's biggest argument when it comes to preseason football games again. I feel like this happened because there was no preseason football games. You know, you put your first, you get a chance to actually, even in high school, you get a chance to play a scrimmage game against someone else before you actually go live and face those live bullets. Um, facing those live bullets, and you cut differently, you run differently, you run a little faster. It's the lights are on, and if you haven't tuned that engine up, you can't. Some engines can't just go from 0 to 70. Some engines need to hit the 40, the 50, the 60, to get to the 70. Uh, and some, and unfortunately, I think that's going to keep the preseason alive. But I think it'll be more of a two game preseason, but it's going to keep the preseason there because of those injuries. And the league loses money. And fantasy as a fantasy owner, man, I hate to see it happen. Uh, I hate to see it happen, but I think that's a big reason why is because of no preseason. I can't hear you, Patrick. I think you have you muted.
Man, I went so long without that happening. My streak is gone. Sorry, y'all, but yeah, I'm gonna knock on wood. Seeing Saquon go down, just not being able to watch a special player such as him this season, that hurt. And then there are plenty of others, who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, moving forward, the players that we're playing with on our fantasy teams can stay relatively healthy, but we'll find out. Good segue though. Let's go ahead and talk about running back specifically. Um, you know, Surprise, disappointment, both. Where are you at with running backs, Zach?
There are a few surprises that I would say I like at running back. I'm going to talk about a tandem though, the Rojo and Fournette tandem that's going to be hitting the league here pretty soon. It's going to be a sight to see. I feel like if you can get, I feel like Rojo is going to be the lead horse still. Fournette is such a dynamic back. He's a game breaker. He can take it 75. He doesn't have the best speed, but he can take it 75. Rojo, I haven't seen him hit anything really big. And so just that part of the game itself, you want to have, if you can get them both, I would get them both. I would grab both of those guys.
Just like
Tom
he
Brady,
did.
I think I did do that. Yes, I did. Tom Brady trusts Rojo now. With Fournette being injured, that gave Rojo time to be the lead back. I don't think he's made too many mistakes. I think he might have fumbled once, but he's fifth in the league or fourth in the league in rushing. He's productive. He gets in the end zone, um, and he just got a chance to hone himself better and gain more trust with Tom Brady. I feel like Tom kind of trusts Fournette to be Fournette already. He's seen him play. Fournette is a Pro Bowler. Fournette, I believe was an All Pro the year they went to the AFC Championship game. Fournette is Fournette, number 4 overall, number 3 or 4 overall pick in the draft. He's that guy. So Tom Brady knows that Fournette is going to be
But is he
Fournette.
healthy though? That's what I worry about with Fournette, because anytime he misses any games for whatever reason, and I mean it's based on past events, I'm sure, but I just immediately think worst case scenario with him.
Well, I think that he rushed. When he was playing with the Jaguars, he was their offense, so they were going to rush him back.
Yeah,
They were going to rush him back. So
poor guy.
if you're at 75%, you're playing in Jacksonville. If you're Leonard Fournette, now in Tampa, you have a guy like Rojo, right? And so they can say, no, sit and get healthy. We need you for the playoffs. So
and what's interesting with that is, I'll be honest. Not only was it because I did need the quarterback, as far as me trading Rojo to you for Jimmy G in our Dynasty Superflex League, I really needed a quarterback. And at the time, I liked Rojo a lot. But the fact that Leonard Fournette got signed, they also drafted Keyshawn Vaughn fairly high in the draft. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew regardless of how well he did, it addressed a team need that I had. So win-win essentially. So good trade, sir.
Cheers. Yeah, that was a very good trade. Cheers, sir. I'll cheers with my apple juice. Cheers to that, though.
Absolutely. But yeah, Rojo's looking good, man. He's looking like the Rojo I've expected to see, and maybe bringing Fournette there was just
what he needed.
Exactly what he needed to just finally just let loose and play. He looked like a pounder that he is like.
But I think
looks like a different runner.
I think they can both exist in the same backfield, though. And that's the best part about it, because with an aging quarterback, and Tom Brady, Tom is not going to want to throw the ball 40 times a game. He would rather hand the ball off and throw it 25 times a game, 28 times a game, 22 times a game. He would rather do that throughout a season so that he can be fresh for the playoffs. So if you're going to do that, and he wants to throw off the play action. He doesn't really want to have to, throw the long ball quickly. He needs time to wind up and see the field and do what he can do.
And that's what's great about those two is regardless of who's in, you've got to respect the run.
You have to respect the run. And so I feel like I said, and when you offered me the trade, man, I was ecstatic because I needed so much running back.
I knew it was. I literally spent multiple hours because I just once Haskins went from first. Well, we'll get there later, but anyway, once my situation developed, I knew I had to do something ASAP. I looked at everyone's team. My only concern was obviously I know you're a 49ers fan, so I was like, damn, is that going to come into play with this? Because if not, I feel like this should be an immediate accept because it helps us both. And
it was an immediate accept.
Props to you, sir.
Yeah, I don't play with my heart.
Nor do I.
The Niners are my heart, but I don't. I'm trying to win. But that was a wonderful trade, and I appreciate it. And if you get in your league, if you can get both of these guys, grab them both. I'm telling you.
A Tom Brady offense, touchdowns will be scored,
and he throws the ball to the running backs. He likes his check downs. So, and if you're in a PPR league, I mean, I'm telling you, these two guys, if you can, and honestly, some part during the season, I feel like I'm going to play on both at the same time, and I'm going to get 20 to 30 points.
Yeah, play the matchups. I mean. Once we know Fournette is healthy, that's, I think it'll be a situation similar to Chubb and Hunt. I honestly do, assuming they're both healthy. So
when they're both scoring 20 to 15 to 20 points a game, at least both of them. And I feel like that's, and if you can grab them both, man, hey, I'm telling you.
And with the defense that the Bucs have and how they're playing, I mean, that Yeah, that worked out quite well for both of us. So solid trade, sir.
Very solid trade.
So running backs. One thing that's surprising and kind of disappointing, the Le'Veon Bell signing. You know, the more I think about it, it probably is just veteran depth behind CEH because, you know, when you're making a push to repeat as Super Bowl champions, you probably want more than Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson behind your rookie. That's understandable. Initially, I was really nervous. I do own a CEH. Unfortunately, both of them are redraft leagues, but that's what we're focusing on. And I was terrified. Um, I think it's to keep him fresh. I think he'll obviously learn as well. I see CEH maybe take a slight dip in value, but the fact that he'll remain fresh all season, that probably evens out. With Bell, I do think he will be a weekly flex option once he's fully incorporated in that offense, simply because I mean Bell, he has hands, he can catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He is arguably the most patient runner I've ever watched play the game. Kansas City, their line looked much better than most expected it to the other night when they played the Bills. So if that continues, man, that's you know, going from CEH to Le'Veon, very different styles. That'll keep a defense on their toes and probably very confused at what in the world to do to stop it. So I'm excited. I'm
You know what I
excited.
think? I think that that's going to be a similar situation to a Fournette, Rojo, to a Hunt Chubb situation. I feel like if I'm just by looking at the offense and the way they want to run the ball now, they're focused more on the run this year, which is to protect, of course, their $500 million man, uh, and you know, and to be able to run the play action and get the ball down to to Cheetah, you know, because they have two of the best downfield threats in the league in the Cheetah and in their tight end. And so if I'm looking at it the way I feel it's going to be that type of situation. But I feel like now Bell is going to take a lion's share of those catches. He's going to eat a lot of those catches up from CEH.
See, I don't know, man.
I
To be
feel like that.
determined because I don't think Bell is washed. I don't. I hear people say it, and I'm like,
Oh,
look,
he's
he
not
played
washed.
for the New York Jets, and he hated
Yes,
the head coach.
yes, he's not washed at all. The
And
guy,
the
he said a year
fact that
out.
he
He's
got
fresh.
paid millions to join a Super Bowl contender and leave a team that will likely not win a single game this season, I mean, he played that perfectly.
Yes, and
Tell me he
he signed
didn't.
he signed a 1 year deal. He's going to go get his ring, and he's going to go get his money after. And honestly, I don't blame the guy. He got
No,
paid.
not at
He got paid
all.
once in Pittsburgh. He got paid the big money to play for the Jets. When he got there, they bamboozled him. They switched everything up. They have Adam Gase there, who's the worst head coach in
And
the league.
that
And
I wanted that to be my biggest disappointment, but I wanted to start the episode positive. But how in the world
you
Adam
have a job,
Gase continues to have a
a job.
head coaching job in the NFL blows my mind.
He
Blows my
is
mind.
he has the worst team in the
There are
league.
countless players who did absolutely nothing while playing under him, and then the second they leave,
They
they're
ball.
stars.
They ball.
They're
Yeah,
stars.
yeah, yeah. You're right about that. You're
So
absolutely right about that.
I just
I just
we're waiting. We're waiting.
yeah,
You know,
but
I
I
almost
do
wonder
think
who's gonna get it first, Gase or Patricia. I'm leaning towards
you know
Patricia because maybe the Jets, like my boy Dustin mentioned, maybe they're thinking he can't fuck up the fact that they'll end up with the number one because they know that he's a terrible coach. They should lose every game. And then they get the whole tank for Trevor. But does Trevor Lawrence even agree to go there?
What if they?
I wouldn't.
But what if you? What if they? You know, they said this earlier on ESPN, I believe, one time last week, where they say, well, what if Trevor decides to go back to school so he doesn't play for the Jets? And what if
I
the
would. If Adam Gase is there, I'm not going to the
or,
Jets.
or Fields stays in school, you know, so because they don't want to play for the Jets, you know, because I mean that they're quickly becoming the New York Knicks of NFL football, man. They're quickly becoming the New York Knicks of the NFL football league.
When you hire Adam Gase, who all he did was basically, I mean, take credit for Peyton Manning and what he did. I don't know. He hasn't done anything in my eyes, but that's neither here or there. We'll get back to the content for y'all. So we've talked about running backs. Let's go ahead and talk about wide receivers. Zach, biggest surprise, wide receiver.
Biggest surprise, that's tough, but I'm gonna probably have to go with Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson this year has shown to be a number one receiver.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even when he played with the Jets, he was just a deep threat guy, and you know he would have his games where he would, you know, he might have 20 or 30 points.
Yep.
A few
But
times.
Again, he leaves Adam Gase.
He leaves Adam Gase and he comes to Carolina, and the man is averaging almost 17 points a game. You know, he is a number one receiver. He's making DJ Moore look terrible. You know, and DJ Moore is not bad, but the production that he's getting from the production that Robbie Anderson is doing is making DJ Moore's stats look like they're not real stats. You know, so I mean, Robbie Anderson he's looking like a number one guy. He's looking like a guy you have to start every week. You know, I drafted him in my league just as a deep threat.
Lucky you.
Like maybe I have a bye week injury. Let me throw him in there. But you know, this guy's starting on my team every week. He's a starter. He's a bona fide starter, and he's still young. And that's the best thing about it.
27.
He's still young enough to play. He has another 4 or 5 years of this left in him. And leave Adam Gase, go to your pot of gold, man. Because I mean,
no kidding, man.
You know, the Panthers are looking good, and he's a really, really big reason why the Panthers are looking good.
No kidding.
Very reliable.
I wish Chris Herndon would somehow get out of there because I feel like he just has all the potential in the world, but we'll never see it as long as he continues to play for Adam Gase. Okay, so Robbie Anderson. For me, I'm going to go ahead and just knock this out. My biggest surprise, Will Fuller. And for those of you who've been watching our episodes throughout the summer, I trashed Will Fuller. I really did. And through 6 weeks, I'm obviously very wrong. I admit it. So props to everyone who just made that bold decision and got a fortune in Will Fuller. I thought people were out of their damn minds taking him in the 7th round when Brandon Cooks was still on the board. I'm thinking, why would you take Fuller over Cooks? That makes no sense. Apparently, I don't know anything because Will Fuller is looking very nice. Now that Bill O'Brien is gone, I mean, watching how they played, even though they did lose to the Titans here this past weekend, that looked like a brand new team to me. So with Bill O'Brien out of the picture, I mean, if Fuller, along with Brandon Cooks, that group of tight ends, Deshaun Watson, obviously, JJ Watt is looking nice. You know, I was getting real worried about him just getting to that age where, you know, he wants to play, but his body just doesn't let him. But he's stayed healthy up to this point and is making a huge impact. Roby, that defensive back they've got, he's among the tops in the league. And then I think his last name is Adams. They brought up a guy to replace McKinney, who's out for the season, but brought up a guy from the practice squad, I believe. Last name Adams, and this guy in his first 2 starts, I believe he had over 20 tackles in each game. Something crazy. Don't quote me on this, but it was like impactful. I picked him up everywhere I could in my IDP league. So
I'm liking Charles Omenihu out there too, man. He's balling pretty well. I like what Charles Omenihu's balling in Houston as well. But I mean, looking at Will Fuller, Will Fuller, he looks like he's ready to carry a load. I mean, can you just imagine what that team would look like with him and DeAndre Hopkins the way he's playing now? I mean,
how that ever happened?
They traded that man for a box of. They traded him for a box of Cracker Jacks.
Well,
man.
I'll say this. It was a terrible trade, to be clear. It was a terrible trade, but David Johnson has been better than people expected. I just want to throw that out there because he has. But it's still a horrific trade that had how anyone allowed that to happen blows my mind.
That trade wouldn't happen on Madden, man. Madden would reject
like that would be vetoed. Like I don't believe in vetoes, but when it is just obvious that tell me one reason that helps you. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, that was crazy. But
but I mean, Will Fuller is looking but honestly, maybe Will Fuller needed him out of the building so that he could be who he is at the same time, because Will Fuller is looking like he's.
But why did he get hurt so much though? He wasn't. It was almost like he was a deep threat, so the coverage had to respect that, which would allow Hopkins to get open. I mean, in all honesty, Hopkins doesn't even need to be open, but we know that. But the injuries, man, he
soft tissue injuries, man.
26 games in his first 4 years, which is
hamstrings.
Crazy.
Yeah, hamstrings, man. The soft tissues, man. He had a history of those. I mean, even at Notre Dame, he had soft tissue injuries as well. I mean, they're not asking him to go down the field as much as they were before. I mean, I think before he was probably running, 60 yards, 50 yards every other play just to stretch the field. I mean, now he's getting a chance to run the slants and the curls and the comebacks out. Maybe that's better for his body. I don't know, but
they're missing a big body wide receiver.
It wasn't.
If only they had one of those, But I am hearing rumors that they're about to have a fire sale, quote unquote. But I've heard that they're looking to move Fuller and Cook. So,
wow,
Jamar Chase, come on, that would be amazing. Wow.
You know who would be nice if they did move Fuller, as far as for his fantasy value. I feel like if he came to a team like San Francisco, that would. No, let me tell you why.
Bro,
I'm going to tell you why. Just hear me out.
Kittle and Debo 1 and 2. There's not enough passing volume, bro.
But hear me out. We have Kendrick Bourne, who's supposed to be more of a deeper threat for us. He's not really a deep threat. We have no one really to go over the top besides Kendrick Bourne. And so if you were to replace Kendrick Bourne Fuller over the top, that's going to open the field up for the Kittles and for the Brandon Ayuk.
So how fast is Ayuk? Is Ayuk not fast like that?
Game.
Ayuk's not fast like
Ayuk
that?
is, I mean, he has decent speed, but he doesn't have Fuller speed.
I have to see if I can find that. I just figured taking him as high as they did, I would have thought that he had.
I don't think he's 4.3 guy. Brandon Ayuk can't be a 4.3 guy. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's a 4.3 guy. And Will Fuller's a 4.3 guy.
Let's see. Brandon Ayuk. Oh. That's surprising. 4.5.
Okay.
But
that's average speed. That's average
but
speed in the league.
he is in the 92nd percentile when it comes to burst. So
Okay.
that
He gets
makes
off
a huge difference.
acceleration.
Yeah.
Acceleration. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I do like him. I just, man, there's just not enough volume. Well, we'll see what happens with Mostert out, and Mostert's getting old. So I'm hope McKinnon's getting old too. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. So that's that. Where are we at? Rookie. What's your surprise rookie wide receiver before I get into mine?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you there, man. My connection went out really quickly. I apologize.
Before I get into my surprise wide receivers, what about your rookie wide receiver surprise? Who is that?
Justin Jefferson, man. Justin
Nice.
Jefferson is balling. He is balling. I saw a video that he had on ESPN that when they had him mic'd up for the last game, man, and he was, I mean, making plays. I mean, he makes plays. I mean, I knew that when they got rid of when they sent I can't think of his name to
Diggs.
Diggs to Buffalo, that there was going to be some receiving some balls there. I didn't expect him to gobble those balls the way he's gobbling them things up, man. He is quickly becoming Batman and not Robin. He's quickly making
He
Thielen the Robin.
yeah.
He is quickly becoming Batman and Thielen is becoming the Robin. It's almost like if you took a player and you made a player on Madden and you took him your rookie year and you're playing with him on rookie mode, because he is. I mean, he's top 5 or 6 in the league in receiving. He's scoring touchdowns. He's getting open. He looks comfortable. He looks like he's just moving out there comfortably. Like, it looks like he's still in an LSU jersey, to be honest with you. I mean, the man is balling. If I can say, if anybody, any receiver that I can think of off the top of my head would be him. And I drafted Judy because I figured Judy coming from Alabama, he would be
Yeah.
right in the league. I I feel like it was a wasted draft pick to get Judy, man. To be honest with you, because Justin,
Well, I mean, Drew Lock being that young and inexperienced, I mean, I think Judy will be fine over the next couple of years, but it was risky, knowing that the quarterback is young and
mhm,
unproven,
yeah.
unfortunately. Whereas Kirk Cousins, although he's not like an elite quarterback, he's a savvy vet that can get the job done. So that's that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for me, CeeDee Lamb, and it's really not a surprise because I know the talent. He was, in my eyes, I had him far and wide the number one receiver in that class. I haven't seen anyone play the wide receiver position the way he plays it. He because the thing about Judy, everyone would say, well, he goes against LSU and that's where all the good corners come. True. If you watch any college tape of CeeDee Lamb, you want to talk about a guy that is going full speed each and every play, whether he's run blocking. I mean, he's looking for contact, but smart contact. He's going full speed and he's helping out his teammates, but seeing him just step in, you know, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's practically an afterthought at this point. Amari remains, but considering the contract they have with him, the amount of money that they probably need to start working on that line and defense with, they do
Mhm.
have that out after 2 years. So I expect them to let Amari walk after 2 years into that contract and roll with CD as their number one. I mean, just watch the guy play. Watch the guy
I
play. He does not look like a rookie at all.
No, he does
And,
not.
and after the catch, I mean, deadly. And he's not afraid to go across the middle at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just such a smart player. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen him go full speed to run block on running plays when we all know 90% of those receivers are jogging at like 50% effort on some of those. This guy, no. I love it. I was shocked that he went to the Cowboys. Um,
Don't remind me, man. If I
he
had my
looks real nice in that 88. I think everyone may actually forget all about Michael Irving and all about T.O. because 88 belongs to C.D. Lamb.
if I had
Put
my
in the
choice,
books.
man, if I had my choice, CeeDee Lamb would be wearing a Niner jersey. When CeeDee Lamb, when the Las Vegas Raiders did not get CeeDee Lamb, and we had our draft pick, I was so excited. I was screaming out of my house, "We finna get CeeDee Lamb. We're about to get CeeDee Lamb," and CeeDee Lamb, and we didn't get CeeDee Lamb. We got Kinlaw. Now Kinlaw is playing pretty well, but CeeDee Lamb is a different type of route runner. He's a different type of athlete. He has hands like glue. You said the man has after the catchability. I'm a huge Longhorn fan. He routed and then shook four Longhorns in one play after he caught the ball. Four Longhorn for the touchdown. The man is good. The man definitely does look. Definitely looks comfortable on the football field in the NFL. You're probably right. The Cowboys probably let Amari go after 2 years, and he probably steps into number one and Gallup being number two. Um, Honestly, the Cowboys might let a couple of guys go in a few years. I think they might let Zeke go in a couple of years as well. Uh, but that's because I mean Pollard is doing enough. He
Yeah,
does
I
enough.
agree. They should. Zeke has been a great player. He really has. I just all those off-field issues, although I haven't heard of anything over the past couple of years, but just to begin his career, that constant distraction, the fact that he just, it wasn't even time to discuss an extension. He just bolts off to Mexico and, just bails on his team. And,
Mhm.
now when Dak's gone and everyone's looking at him, these fumbles, like I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I don't know if it's effort. Maybe it was a bad game. We'll continue to monitor, but I'll tell you what, if Tony Pollard is somehow, some way on your waiver wire, free agency, wherever you're at within your league settings, assuming there's someone that makes sense to drop, obviously, I, I'm grabbing him just in case, whether it's, his body language worried me, and the way that their season's going. I don't want to say he's going to quit on his team, but I'm if Pollard is available, I will happily stash him. And if nothing comes from it, so be it. But if anything happens to Zeke, that's a league winning pickup right there. League winning.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's a good stash. That's definitely a great stash to keep in the and I would yeah, that's a great stash. That's a great stash. I have
Yeah,
nothing
and
nothing
the
nothing
fact that
nothing
it
negative to
seems
say
like
to
they're
that.
trying to work because it's like he's earned a role. We get it; they're paying Zeke all the money, but
And
even if he
Zeke
gets
heads
in
right
there at a
now.
receiver position, Pollard, since the day I've seen him in a Cowboys jersey, has produced on limited touches.
Well, Zeke has slippery hands right now. I mean, he's fumbling the ball. I mean, he couldn't hold water in the bucket right now. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. But Pollard, he is definitely looking like he deserves some touches. He deserves a look. And if he does,
He
man, I mean,
does.
if they actually give him one and he does what I think he might be able to do, Zeke might be cut after this year. That's screw a couple of years. It might be this year.
Well, and it's also kind of the fact that Dak is, we all know what happened to Dak.
He still leads the league in passing
Do you want to run Zeke into the ground this year when you're obviously not competing for anything?
because the Red
I
Rocket is not going to give
certainly
you the
hope not, because you invested a
red.
lot of money in that guy. I would just have Pollard out there, if nothing else, gaining experience. Or, I mean, I don't know what the details to Zeke's contract are specifically, but with the needs that they have on defense in particular, if you could trade Pollard to get a legit defensive impact player, I mean, that would make a ton of sense. Um, they've got to figure out something and something quick. But moving right along, let's get into tight end. Zach, biggest surprise at the tight end position.
I mean, I'm gonna say Darren Waller, and hear
I
me
like
out.
that.
Hear me out, and this is why I say that, because I know a lot of people are probably saying, "Oh, Darren Waller was
I think
already,
we're on the same, but yeah,
he
go for it.
was already, he's already, he's already gonna, he was supposed to produce." We see Darren Waller has had an uphill struggle his whole career, up until this year, and they went out and grabbed some guys.
That
They went out,
draft.
they went out and drafted some guys to catch the ball. So the fact that he is the targets leader, he is the guy besides their running back that the ball goes through. That says something to the guy's work ethic. That says something to the guy on the practice field, and his resolve from what he's gone through in life alone, to
Yeah.
what he's doing on this football field. I mean, the man. I wish I drafted him. I really wish I drafted him. I didn't get him, but that's one of the guys I wish I could have gotten, um, in all my leagues. To be honest with you, because I don't see any downtick in weeks for him. I feel like every week he's going to produce for you because he is A1 on the offense when it comes to passing the ball. You have Henry Ruggs on the outside, and you have him, and he sets up Henry Ruggs. So it's not even the other way around. I mean, it's the guy can run with the ball after the catch. I mean, he moves like a big receiver. He's strong. He's physical. He has good hands. A few Monday nights ago, I saw him playing. I want to say the man had like 11 or 12 catches, on like 14 targets, something like that. You don't have to throw a bunch of targets at him for him to get a bunch of catches. He's going to catch the targets you give him. The efficiency is ridiculous. Of course, you can always say Kittle. You can always say that the guy in Kansas City. Those two are,
Kelsey. Yeah, but
Kelsey and
they're
Kittle
going
are
so
A1.
high, you
They're
know.
they're A1, and then, but if you could get you, like Darren Waller is quickly putting his name on the list with Kelsey and Kittle. If you ask me, the way that he's playing, I mean, you could depend on him. He every weekend. Only way that he doesn't play well is if Derek Carr doesn't play well. If Derek Carr is on and he's throwing the ball and accurate and getting the ball out of his hand, not holding the ball in the pocket, not taking sacks, because Derek Carr will take a lot of sacks, for some reason. I think sacks runs in the Carr family, because his older brother took a lot of sacks as well.
That he
Uh,
did.
if he gets the ball out of his hands quick enough, Darren Waller's gonna have a great game. That's the only issue with Darren Waller, is if his quarterback doesn't play well.
Yeah, good points. So my surprise, and I never would have dreamed that it would be this person, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham,
That's
back
right.
from the
Mhm.
dead. Um, what is there to say? The guy keeps getting targeted in the end zone,
Keeps catching it.
keeps producing. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, he's older, but he appears to
Basketball
be
player.
one of the top targets on the team, especially down in that red zone. So, huge surprise. I remember thinking the Chicago Bears should be embarrassed that other teams see how much they paid him. And here we are. He's what, tight end 7 in PPR, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Huge surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Huge surprise, not only on the age and the declining skills that we've seen over the past few years, the health is always a concern. The Bears, and we know what that offense looked like last season. That was a joke. So many things going against him. They paid him, and Jimmy Graham has stepped in and produced.
Mm-hmm.
Props to him. Props to
Hey,
him. Huge, huge surprise. Huge surprise.
that's University of Miami basketball player Jimmy Graham right there, boxing guys out in the end
Yep.
zone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. True that. So disappointments, tight end position. Where you at, Zach?
So this guy, he has a few stats, to be honest with you, but I had him so much higher on my list. I felt like he was going to do a lot of things this year, and that is Gasecki, Mike
Yeah.
Gasecki. I felt like he was going to do a lot more than what he's doing right now. He's very, very inconsistent. He'll have a good game one week and then take 2 weeks off, and then have another good game and then take 2 weeks off. Uh, you know, I get that. You got Fitz Magic as your quarterback, but that guy slings the ball. He's
Well,
gonna throw.
he
He's gonna throw.
had
Well,
Fitzmagic.
yeah, until Tua, they just got Tua in
Yeah.
there. You're right,
Just throwing that in
but
there. Could
but
be a
what I'm
different
saying,
story. You never know.
could it could this could turn the page, and I could at the end of the year I could be eating my words.
Yeah.
But
You never
right
know,
now,
man. You never
Gasecki,
know.
he has to catch the ball more. He has to appreciate the targets he's getting. I think he has 18 receptions on 30 targets. That's pretty. That's not a passing grade. That's less than 60%. That's less than 60% of your targets. That's like 60% of the targets you're
Yeah.
catching.
And
I need you to I need him to control the middle of the field more. He's not doing that. He's not, he's supposed to be a red zone target. He's not doing that. He's not catching very many red zone targets. I mean, he is disappointing me based off of where I projected him to be.
yeah, and that's not only you, Zach. I can assure you that. I was extremely high on Gasecki coming in. The percentage of snaps that he played lined out wide in the slot last year was, if I'm not mistaken, in the 90s, which, like, in other words, he's running pass routes and not blocking. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? So for a tight end, to me, I'm like, money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he had a couple of good games early on. I think he even had another game where he essentially saved himself and caught a touchdown on one reception, but
Mm-hmm.
not what I was expecting. Obviously not what you were expecting either. And I know a lot of people across the fantasy community were expecting much more from Gasecki than he's shown thus far. We'll see what happens with Tua, you know, um, with Preston Williams getting healthier. I mean, I don't know if that'll hurt him or maybe open things up more for him, to be determined, but we'll certainly continue monitoring that. So my disappointment at the tight end, this was honestly just too easy, and it makes me sad to say, but Zach Ertz. I keep hearing these justifications that supposedly he's not doing well because there aren't any other weapons and the defense is solely focused on him. And then I sit back and look at last season when same type of scenario, and I believe even the season prior, and the guy is like 100+ reception guy, and he doesn't look the same. Um, he just looks washed, man. He does, and I hate saying that about people, but Goddard should be back any week now. I think it's safe to say the Eagles will not be extending Ertz. Um, his time, unfortunately, is coming to a close with the Eagles, at least. I wish him the best. He was one of the better tight ends that I got to see play for quite some time. So nothing but respect for the guy. But yeah, for those of you who took him fourth tight end off the board in your drafts, I'm sorry. This has got to be rough.
You say justifications, man. I say I learned this in college, man. Those are excuses. Excuses are tools of incompetence, man.
Yeah.
They,
Agreed. I
yeah,
hear it
yeah,
everywhere. It's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
they're triple covering. Maybe,
Mm,
but the
You
past
know,
couple of seasons that wasn't an issue.
he's done everything. I just think maybe Father Time is catching up with him. And that's sometimes that happens,
It
especially in the
happens to
tight. And it's with
everyone.
in the position like the tight end position where you have to do inline blocking, which he was great at, and you have to split out and you take those big hits. That's a very physical position. So Zach Ertz, I didn't draft him. I honestly, even in his big seasons, it's hard to trust him. It's hard. It was this year especially. It was very hard to trust that he was going to be able to do what he needed to do. Especially when you see Alshon Jeffrey get hurt, you see Deshaun Jackson get hurt. All the guys that
And
would
when
have
you see
probably
Dallas
opened up
Goddard rather
I-
quickly sneaking up on him,
yeah,
that's my guy
exactly,
right there.
exactly. So disappointing, very disappointing. And if he went 4 in your league, man, and you drafted him 4, man, you could have had Waller.
Good point.
or
Good
Jimmy
point,
Graham,
man.
or Jimmy Graham.
I like Ertz as a player, and I guess I'll compare him to Julio. It's at that point where, based on age, injury history, even though Julio has been healthy for an extended period of time, I mean, we still have that history way back when. We want to believe that they have more years, and man, if only that were so for each and every case of all these players that we like that are getting older, but it's just not.
That's not the
I
case.
did enjoy seeing Julio go off and not only score 1 but 2 touchdowns. When did he start scoring touchdowns?
But Julio has always been. I've always argued this about Julio. Julio, he's a great receiver. He's always a top receiver in the league. But I never would say he was the best receiver because he never scored touchdowns. The man would
Well,
have
he
100,
was good for about 1,400 yards season after
1,400 yards.
season.
Yes,
So, I
but
mean,
he
I
would
don't even
only
care about the
he would
touchdowns. I'll let my
he
running
would
back
give
run
me.
it in.
Well, he would give he gives you 1,400 yards, and he'll give you 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. I feel like when you rank a receiver, I would rather have a guy that gives me 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns than
But
a guy that gives
here's
me
the
14 and
thing, because
4.
I've actually I found some clips. Someone created these that was a huge Atlanta Falcons fan, and for whatever reason, sometimes it is due to just the coverage. But there are other times where it just seems like when Matt Ryan targets Julio in the red zone, the ball is never catchable. Just never. And I'm so serious. Like, he doesn't even have a chance to use his size and skill set. It just flat out is not catchable. And even if the guy did pass interfere him, they're not going to throw it because it's not catchable. I don't know. I don't know, man. I just can't help but notice that Calvin Ridley's a monster down there. So, you know, it works. Nice complementary players to each other. But I hope that, those couple of games missed by Julio was just a minor setback, and we're about to see a major comeback, because that's a special player right there.
Very special. I just want to see him touch the end zone a few more times. That's all, man. I feel
Yeah,
like
same.
with Calvin Ridley and Zacchaeus and
Gage,
Gage, and
Hayden
Hayden Hurst.
Hurst, Stoney
I feel like,
Mitchell.
and then you have the running back right now looking like he's playing back in that, like he's playing high school football. I mean, he looks healthy.
Hey,
The man looks healthy.
what does Gurley do? Score
He
touchdowns.
scored. He
Might not
looks
have a lot of yards, but the man is
is
scoring
scoring.
touchdowns. So depending on how far he fell in your draft, that may have been a steal.
Might have been a steal because the man he looks healthier than he's ever looked, and they do it by committee out there. But he looks red zone and in is
It's
good.
obvious he's not the same player, but
He looks healthy.
he's good enough to produce solid RB2 numbers, assuming he remains healthy moving forward. So props to him.
Yeah.
But just to keep us going here, let's get into that really, really, really important position, quarterbacks. Biggest
Mm.
surprise, Zach. Who's your biggest surprise at the quarterback position?
So this man bet on himself. You know, he took a couple of years. Uh, First off, man had a gruesome injury. Didn't know if he was going to play again. Didn't know if he was going to have his leg. You know, he thought he might have to cut his leg off. You know, he went to New Orleans. He learned under a healthier Drew Brees, a more potent Drew Brees, and now he's in Carolina and he is balling. Teddy B, Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy, my man's is balling out in Carolina. Loses his running back, don't care. Don't have to. Okay, we lost a running back. Don't matter. I'm gonna throw this thing. Now we're gonna win some games. He leans on his defense. He plays. I mean, he's scoring pretty well. I want to say he's a top 7 or top 8 quarterback right now, if I'm not mistaken. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but he might be like a top 8 quarterback right now, maybe top at least top 10 quarterback right now. Yeah,
Not quite, but 16.
he's
But
16.
there's that group where they're so close.
Yeah, I mean
And
he's
it's
playing
we're
way better
six
than.
weeks in, so
And honestly, the way he's playing, I didn't see him playing like this under Matt Rule. I thought when they picked him up, I said, "Oh, this is just going to be a transition quarterback." He actually might be their quarterback for now and the future. Be that guy that they can build around. He's balling. I mean, if you ask me, it's Teddy B is the guy that I'm very happy with.
yeah. I'll admit I've been impressed as well. I didn't know what to think when I heard he was going to Carolina. I honestly thought, well, they may have overpaid him, but he'll just be dumping it off to CMC and hitting DJ Moore on these little crossing patterns. Not the case. Not the case. The guy put in the work, preparation, and now it's paying off. So shout out to him. Biggest surprise at the quarterback position, Herbert.
Oh yes, the
Justin
rookie.
Herbert.
Yes, yes.
Everyone began
I mean it.
began last season talking tank for Tua. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the injury happened, it was all of a sudden Burrow. And you never really heard about Herbert. You never really did. If you look into it, that system that he played in during college, the system just doesn't showcase their athlete skills very well compared to LSU and um, drawing blanks
Alabama.
here. There you go.
Mm.
But anywho, like you just didn't hear many people talk about him. Like I think most people just assumed he was just going to sit out the entire first season behind Tyrod.
It sucks what happened to Tyrod,
Well,
man.
let me tell you, this guy got an opportunity and it, he's
Looks
the
comfortable.
future. He's
He
the
looks comfortable.
future. As a rookie, he currently has just shy of 1,200 yards with 9 touchdowns and 3 picks. He has 55 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. And that's in 4 games. That's in 4 games.
Yeah.
So the future is looking bright for the Los Angeles Chargers. Going from Phillip Rivers, a guy that somehow, like Mike Williams of all people, one of the biggest, fastest deep threats in the game, just can't get the ball to him. And here's Herbert chunking it, confident, no hesitation. Eckler's hurt, and it's like no one even noticed
Remembers.
that Eckler's hurt because they're
We're throwing
doing
it.
well. Like these
Yes.
no names that who is that just caught that 85-yard touchdown? I don't know. He was wide open, so Herbert hit him. It's like
The thing I
all these
remember,
people are coming out the woodwork, and Herbert just is rolling, man.
the thing I remember about Herbert, man, is that everyone thought he should have came out his junior year. I remember his junior year, he was saying he was going
Well,
to be a top guy, and he didn't come out. And then when he came back to Oregon for his senior year, he didn't have a great year. at all.
Well,
And
he's
so
having a damn good year right now. So
and I guess what I'm thinking is a lot of the scouts look down upon that. But when I watch him play, he has a strong arm. 6'4", six
oh
foot five.
yes.
He can see over the defense, and and it's like he's throwing a dart when he throws the ball. He has that throw a dart motion where and when you're throwing it like that, man, you're accurate. And when you can get grown men to galvanize around you, it's perfect, man. I feel bad what happened with Tyrod. I mean, I feel horrible
Yeah,
for
that's
him because
unfortunate.
you're supposed to be able to trust your team's doctors, and for them to puncture his lung, and then he loses his job like that. That's tough. But as an organization, the Chargers, I bet they're probably not, and this is not to say anything
Well,
bad, but they're
there's no
probably
turning back.
they're probably happy it happened because now they know what they have, and with the quarterback, you never know what you have until you throw them in that fire. It's not like a running back or a receiver or a DB where you can get in practice and you can kind of see that quarterback needs to be thrown into that fire. And honestly, with less fans and no fans not being in certain stadiums, it probably helps his development a lot more because he gets to see the defense and not hear the noise. And so that in itself, I mean, I like Herbert. I like Herbert. I feel like the team is around him. The team, if they wanted to go back to Tyrod Taylor, they would lose the team. He would lose his team. The coach would lose the team because they want to play for Herbert.
Yeah.
The guys when they want to play for Herbert. I do like that. I do like that. I do like that pick. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually, and I know at least some of my few friends that do play Dynasty with me, they can vouch for me. I thought Herbert was better than not only Tua, but believe it or not, I said Burrow as well. Only time will tell. We got years to go, but I
Mm-hmm.
honestly liked Herbert the most out of those three. Um, a lot of, no telling what'll happen, but so far he's off to a hot start. So anyone who has shares of Herbert must feel good. Um, let's talk about disappointments, quarterback disappointments. Zach, who you got?
Kirk Cousins, point blank. Period. The man has 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He has 10 interceptions. Um, you know, he's completing 64% of his balls. That's average at best. For the money that he's being paid for I, he's only averaging 8 yards of reception. I mean, I just, he's middle of the row in everything except for interceptions. He's thrown so many, and he might lead the league in interceptions. If I'm not mistaken, he
How
does
many
lead the
did you
league.
say you had?
The man has 10 interceptions.
Oh, okay.
He has 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I mean, he leads the league in interceptions. I mean, that's on one end, he's getting the ball to Justin Jefferson and he's getting the ball to Thielen, and they're having okay seasons. But he's turning the ball over in such a high clip. Kirk Cousins is probably, he's by far my biggest disappointment.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it was hard to know what that offense would look like once Diggs was gone. Um, I don't want to just give Cousins that out because I agree he's, for the experience he has and what he's getting paid, he's playing piss poor.
He's only averaging 245 yards a game.
Yeah.
He's only averaging 245 yards a game. I mean, I don't, you know, that's that's extremely low. That's below league average for
Well, I
sure.
mean, if it was similar to last season where, those first handful of games, they weren't really passing, but they were winning, that's one thing. I don't even know. What is their record? Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, okay. They are 1-5. So scratch all that. Yeah. I'm just saying, because I was like, hey, if they're like number two or possibly
but,
one in their division, because
but and
I
even
haven't been paying attention to that division at all. But yeah,
and
1-5, the
even at
Lions are ahead of them.
and
Ooh,
even at 1-5, that means you're behind in a lot of these games. You should have more passing yards per game because you should be trying
just
to catch up.
and you just gave
Just
Dalvin
logical.
all that money. Thielen's
And
getting older. The defense is nothing like it used to be.
this man is averaging
Ugh.
245 yards a game. I mean, I can name off 12 quarterbacks right now that have more passing yards per game.
Well, and they recently did start using them, but why they refuse to unleash Irv Smith is beyond me. I mean, I yeah. Anywho, but yeah, good call with that one. That is a good one because Kurt's just not getting it done whatsoever. For me, it's Dwayne Haskins, and kind of a two-sided one here. Couple of different perspectives I'm looking at it. So I am disappointed that Haskins did not take that step forward in his development, his performance this season. He showed some flashes there, especially the last two games of last season. There were a lot of things to like, and it appeared that he was slowly but surely progressing forward. Now, he had a rough start to the season. Absolutely. But the thing that just was so strange is in his last start for the Washington football team. I'm so shocked I remembered that. He went up against the Baltimore Ravens, who I think most would absolutely agree are one of, if not the best defenses in the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
And Haskins had the best game of his professional career. He set a career high in passing yards, no turnovers. And what happens? The very next day, he goes from the starting quarterback to number 4 on the depth chart. Can
I look
someone
at
explain that
Haskins.
to me, please?
I
And to
look at
put Kyle out, like it's one thing if you're going with Alex Smith, then I'm probably changing my tone. But to put Kyle Allen in there, come on.
man. Look, he didn't. I don't care what is not the man.
You're
I just
cutting out a little bit there.
can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Oh yeah, I said the man has no weapons. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. Besides Terry McLaurin,
He has
he
that
has that.
one.
That's it. I mean, he doesn't have a run game he can lean on. Who's their running back? Can you name? Can you tell me their running back's name?
Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, Peyton Barber, to name a
JD Mc,
few.
JD McKissick, he catches the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
Everybody else, Antonio Gibson,
Yeah.
hey,
Well, and they lost
everybody's
Trent
man.
Williams.
They
They had
lost,
that
yeah,
tight end that everyone was high on, but hasn't done much.
Zach.
They do have a good defensive line, silver
But I
lining,
mean,
but
he can't throw to them, you know. So I mean,
yeah.
he's not when you give a man nothing to cook with. If you tell me to go in the kitchen and make you some pasta, and I don't have any of the ingredients, I can't make you the pasta. And in this case, this man has none of the ingredients to make pasta. He has Terry McLaurin, which is the hot water, and that's it. You know,
Boy,
that's really it. I mean, so
F1.
I do not like how it was handled. I mean, because the man had the bet. How do you say you tell him from what everything we hear, you tell him, hey, we need you to have a great game. We're looking in other directions, and then he goes out and has a great game, and you still look in another direction. I mean, that's I don't understand it. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I
I
don't
do
understand it.
too.
Honestly, I think that he should leave there and go to Cleveland and
I mean, I
make
would
Fields better.
imagine another team will be interested once we hit the off season, but I mean, I understand the whole perspective of, well, that's not our guy. We didn't draft him. Still,
Mm-hmm.
the guy, what was he the number one overall pick?
No. Daniel Jones got picked before him.
Oh,
Uh,
first round pick,
he
I
was he was a he
assume.
was a first round. He was a
Okay.
number
So
12 or
first round
13.
pick coming out of Ohio State. Everyone knew going into that draft that he was going to be a project. I heard that from everyone.
Mm-hmm. You gotta
Does
give him weapons.
Washington think that they are actual contenders with Kyle Allen under center?
Kyle
I
Allen
surely
is,
hope not. So why not let Haskins get this entire season to continue to work on things, hopefully prove himself, and then move forward? And then worst case scenario, you address it after this season. I feel like he didn't get a fair chance. And of all things, to like basically tell him you are not our guy after he has the best game of his career, that's bullshit.
yes, yes.
So plain and simple, I had to touch on that because it just bothers me. It's so hard for these guys to come in and just be the starting quarterback for their team that quickly. Like ideally, you want them to have a good veteran in front of them, a solid year, two,
Mm-hmm.
possibly three, and then they come and then they're
And
on
then they
and
should be ready.
rolling
They
like
should be
Aaron
ready.
Rodgers. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, exactly.
So
That's how the league used to be.
that's how it
But
should be,
but
but
now,
they're not patient. They
but
set them up for failure. They
it
lose
all
their
started with it all
confidence.
started with Matt Ryan and Michael Vick, and like Michael Vick came in the league, had a really good rookie year. Matt Ryan came in the league, had a really good rookie year. Joe Flacco came in the league, had a really good rookie year. They all went to the playoffs their rookie year. So once that started to happen, these GMs and football, talking heads would say, oh well, guys need to come in and play their first year. Quarterback is that position. It's the more you can understand what you're looking at, the better you can dissect it. You
And
know.
the coaching change, that was the other
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's not, he wasn't in the same system since day one. That's so difficult for such a young guy to just
And
at a snap of a finger be no,
it's
like
the language, and it's the language, because I mean, you have some coaches that call routes with numbers. You have some coaches that call routes with names. You have some coaches that is the way that the route tree is said. It can be said in 9 different languages. An arrow can be the same thing as a zip. Can be the same thing as a clutch. All of those things can be the same. So not only are you learning a new language, you learn a new language, you have to learn a new offense, and you have to learn the way the coach wants the offense read. Tom Brady went from running offense where he reads low to high, where basically he's reading check down to deep man. In the offense he's in now, he has to read from deep man to check down. So that's a big change for Tom Brady. And that's Tom Brady we're talking about. And he struggled the first couple of weeks, and now he's doing a little bit better. But he struggled a little bit with that. We're talking about the GOAT. So
no kidding.
to expect a rookie or a second year player to be able to understand how you want to be coached, how you want your offense ran, the language of your offense, the concepts of your offense, how do you the nuances of your offense in 5 games. Come on, man. I mean, you got to give the man a chance. And then he doesn't have any weapons to really play with besides McLaurin. I mean, you're giving him $2 and telling him to go buy a porterhouse steak. That's what you're doing right now. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I just don't see that sitting well with the team. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think
Confident.
everyone, if you're playing for that team, I would have to assume everyone's on the same page as far as where y'all are at developing as a team to compete in the future. So to
Mm-hmm.
see just the guy has the game of his professional career and just doesn't even get demoted, essentially just gets
But
tossed over to the side of practice and doesn't even practice. Like, I'm just
running,
flabbergasted,
running
man.
scout team. That's crazy.
Yeah, that
That's crazy.
Ron Rivera, like I thought I liked you, but after that, I can't say I do anymore.
Yeah.
So to get us wrapped up, we're gonna end with our predictions for the league winner, meaning someone that was either drafted fairly late or possibly picked up on the waiver wire and just we feel will produce the rest of the way. And also the biggest bust, however you want to go about defining that. I already know mine. If you're ready, go for it. If you need some time to think, just let me know.
Can't hear you.
Hello, Zach.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, sir. I clicked
Okay.
out again, man.
Yeah, no worries. Well,
It's this
I'll
room
have
I'm in.
I have my good friend and go-to editor Dustin fix that up for us, hopefully. So
Yeah,
league winner,
it's the room I'm in,
whether
man. Yeah.
yeah, so we're gonna predict a league winner or who we think this year's league winner will be, meaning someone drafted late or possibly not drafted at all that produces at that high of a level that quote unquote wins them the league, as well as who we feel the biggest bust is, however you want to define that.
Okay.
I already
I'm
know
gonna
mine, but if you're ready, go for it.
I'm gonna surprise some people with this one, and
Okay,
you
well,
heard it. You heard.
let's start with biggest bust, and you go
So
first.
biggest bust this year, I feel, is probably going to end up being. I feel like it's going to end up being AJ Green. I feel like people drafted AJ Green. I, I can't get past what he's not doing. I honestly, yeah, I feel like, yeah, probably AJ Green is going to be the biggest bust of the year. That's what I think. I'm close to dropping it myself. I feel like when you go from being AJ Green, the name AJ Green, to not even a flex player, there's a problem, and especially with a quarterback, because Joe Burrow spins the ball, and the two other receivers in his leagues are balling. So I would probably say him, or we can go, or I would go with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has been a extreme bust. I see more commercials from him than I see touchdowns. I want to say the man he has 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, right? But he only has 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards passing in 6 games. He's averaging 182 yards a game, and he has Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. He has Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and you're averaging 182 yards a game. Come on, man. Come on, man. I work at more hours in a week than you have passing yards in a game. I don't understand it. I don't see him in these commercials. I'm tired of seeing it. He has When I watch NFL football, if I'm not watching the Browns, I'm watching Baker Mayfield in a Progressive commercial. I'm watching them in a Hulu commercial. I'm watching them. I think I saw him in a Campbell Soup commercial. I'm seeing him do all these commercials, and he's not throwing the ball. He's stealing from these endorsement companies. He's thieving from them because no one wants to be like Baker Mayfield right now. He, matter of fact, he's my bigger bust than AJ Green. He's the what is we talk about Dwayne Haskins not having anything in the kitchen to cook with. This man has a 5-star chef in his kitchen, and he just won't eat. That's what the Browns gave him, a 5-star chef, and he just won't eat. You have Odell Beckham Jr. Arguably, if you give him the ball, he'll be a top 3 receiver in the league. You have Jarvis Landry in a destitute Adam Gase ran Miami team. He still had 100 balls. 100 balls catching. And this man can't get the ball to those two guys. You had a David Njoku, don't have him anymore, but your tight end, who's the tight end they have now? He's very
Well,
productive.
I believe they have Njoku, although he did ask for a trade. They
But
have
he was
Austin
IR. He was
Hooper, and then they
Austin Hooper.
have that rookie Bryant, something Bryant.
Austin Hooper's a baller, but Njoku was, I think he was on IR for a while. He's about to get off of IR,
Yeah,
I
he
believe, if
just
I'm not
came
mistaken.
off, actually.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, you have all these big athletic guys, and you have a run game that play action can set up for. You have to respect Nick Chubb. You have to respect Kareem Hunt in the run game, and you're only throwing the ball for 182 yards a game.
Trash.
I don't care what
Yeah.
anyone says.
Yeah.
You with those options at receiver, you give
I I
any other
say
viable
bring in
quarterback.
Case Keenum. That's me. Bring in
And,
Case
and
Keenum.
you know what? Case Keenum would go out there and throw that pill
He
around the
he
field.
would. He would.
He would go out there
He
and
would not do any worse for
oh,
sure.
he would not, and he don't even need all the commercials.
Exactly.
He don't even the man. If Baker doesn't produce this year, and he still is a starter next year, I have questions about their front office. I have
And I just
honestly,
can't help but think back to when I saw them pick Baker over Saquon Barkley, and my just dropped.
man, look,
They
if
could have got Saquon at that
and
second
Barkley,
pick.
they could have got Barkley
Or
and
even if they didn't,
that
they could have
one.
got whoever and it wouldn't really
I mean,
mattered. But
now
you
Ward
don't
is a good
pass on.
pick. Ward was a good pick. He's a great corner.
Yeah.
He's an all pro corner. He's a pro. I should say he's a really good pick. But you get past on Saquon Barkley to go get Baker Mayfield.
That's once in a
You don't
decade
do
right
that.
there, in
And if
my
you won't make
opinion.
Baker Mayfield that bad, you get Saquon Barkley first, and then go get Baker Mayfield. I
Yeah.
just
Agreed. Well, good bus calls. I got a couple. We'll start with running back Kenyon Drake. I I was so high on him coming into this year, just based on his performance with the Cardinals last year. I mean, he was arguably unstoppable. He really was. Their whole game plan shifted the second he got there. They went from just extremely pass heavy to running the ball much more than you probably think they did. And it worked. It makes me wonder that whole boot deal where he was wearing a boot right before the season, but like paid no mind to it. Like, oh, no big. It makes me wonder, like, was that something? He just doesn't seem as explosive. He is coming off a big game against the Dallas Cowboys, who can't stop anyone. So that doesn't even really count. I just for a guy that was consistently being drafted second, maybe third round, aside from this one big blow up game, he's done just so bad, and unfortunately, I do own him in one league, and damn, it sucks. But Kenyon Drake, I'm hoping Kyler stops stealing all the rushing touchdowns and gives him some. That's what I'm hoping for, but only time will tell. But huge disappointment there for me. I thought this was his shot to just show everyone and prove to the world that he could be a workhorse. And he's been serviceable, but nothing special. And then my other one, and this is tough. I had a couple, but yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster. This is a sad day for me. Considering Juju a bust just makes this day so sad that all of a sudden, because seeing the talent and the production and just the football IQ, everything at such a young age. And then is he like third in the pecking order for his? I don't even know. It seems like he gets 4, maybe 5 targets a game. And fortunately, he's had a few games where he did score a touchdown, but let's say he did not score those touchdowns, his stats would probably be very similar to like a T.Y. Hilton right now, which,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't know what to think, you know. Another disappointing one, probably not to the same extent, but in the general area, DJ Moore, I'll throw that out there. I had high hopes for him, and Robbie Anderson stole the show. But yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster. Uh, it, and the crazy thing is that everyone thought that if anyone took the number one role from Juju, it would be Deontay Johnson, who did see a ton of targets in weeks 1 and week 2, but hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's
And here we
practicing now.
are. Juju continues to do very mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. Juju is definitely very very disappointing. I mean, you got a guy like Chase Claypool who's just busted on the scene, he just burst on the scene, and I mean you know
Beast.
he looks like he is the next number one. He looks like a faster Plaxico Burress. I mean, the guy is balling. The guy is really balling. I will say that. I will definitely say that. So, who would you say your league winner is? Because I promise you, my league winner is going to surprise some people.
Mine's gonna surprise people too. It may not surprise you because I did just trade for him in one of our dynasty leagues recently, but Miles Gaskin. Miles Gaskin. And the reason I'm going with him as my league winner is he essentially came out of nowhere, has not only outplayed, but completely eliminated Jordan Howard from their plans offensively. He's been a healthy scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Breida remains, but I think the most touches he's seen in a game thus far is like 9 or 10. Miles Gaskin is being used not only as a rusher, he's involved in the pass game, and he showed that he can be the goal line back. And we're talking just solid running back to production that absolutely went undrafted. I mean, you'd have to be in a very, very, very deep league um, for someone to have drafted him. I can't imagine him being drafted anywhere. And the fact that he's consistently putting up, you know, solid numbers, you know, nothing that's gonna win you the matchup, but solid numbers to where you're happy with what he gave you week in and week out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you can find those guys that didn't even go drafted and just plug them right in with all those other guys that you did draft high, and he's giving you essentially the same production. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that's a league winner. So Miles Gaskin.
That's a really good pick. I would say Miles Gaskin is probably going to do a lot to help his team in the coming weeks. So I like that a lot. I'm going to tell you my league winner is Antonio Brown. Antonio
Okay.
Brown is going to be. He has a few different teams looking at him. They're all contenders. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to help a team. I know
I keep hearing Seahawks,
I
man.
keep hearing the Seahawks, man. And if he goes to Seattle, just think about what's going to happen. He has two guys that are flyers down the field, Lockett and DK Metcalf. They go down the field. He can go down the field as well, but he's such a route runner that anything in the middle, he's going to take care of. I mean, he's and with the way Wilson can extend, you know,
You're cutting out a little bit again.
that's going to be nice. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, just the way that he is going to be, the way that he would fit in that offense. Give a couple other teams just looking at him. The Green Bay Packers. They could. I mean, yes, they have Devontae Adams, and they have Valdez Scantling. They do, but he's been off and on the injury. But there's none. The only there's nobody on their team that's better than Antonio Brown besides their number one receiver right now. Baltimore Ravens. It's another team that could use that type of receiver help. That the
They don't
route
pass
running.
enough though.
But the thing about Baltimore is he works out with Lamar Jackson in the summer times. So they have a rapport right now that none other teams have. All right, none other teams have. And the last two teams that's looking at them are the Titans and the 49ers. The Titans, and I'm not making the 49ers up because
I
I'm not a Niner
mean,
because I'm a Niner
yeah,
fan. But
those are
yeah,
just shocking teams to hear.
well,
Two teams that are just so run heavy.
I mean,
Hmm,
a play act, but you get him play.
interesting.
He can still get down the field, and if he needs to get down the field, he can get it. He's been out of the game for about a year now, a little over a year now. So I mean,
It probably comes down to who he has a decent relationship with as far
I think
as
I
the
think it's
organizations
Seattle.
and coaches. I could see
Well, I think it's
Seattle as
Seattle.
well.
And what I've heard is that he is really good friends with Seattle's backup quarterback, the guy that used to play at West Virginia,
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that him and Geno Smith are really, really close. And I mean, if you put Antonio Brown in the Seahawks offense, I kid you not, it is going to explode. And he is going to explode on that offense. Give him a couple of weeks to get his feet wet, to get him. But the man's working out. If you look at his Instagram, he's always working out. He stays ready. And now that he knows that his suspension is about to be up, it's weak. He's someone's going to pick him up, and whoever
I
picks him
might
up is going
pick
to be
him up right
really.
now.
He's going to be really happy. No, I already put my waiver wire in for him, man. I got more money than you do, so if we get in
Uh,
a,
I have him in at least one, if not two, dynasty leagues at that. So
yeah,
I didn't want to go crazy on him, but I did make sure to grab him in a few places just
yeah,
in
I
case.
just feel like he is going to. So if you can get Antonio Brown, you should be able to right now in your league. Go
Well,
grab
I
him and
think
stash him.
everyone just forgot about him because both times when I got him, I literally took him the last pick of the draft. Like I was so shocked he was still there. I was like, well, damn, if he's still here, then absolutely.
Oh,
So
I checked in our league and he's on the waiver wire.
yeah, I like I said, I
I
didn't
checked it
want to
out.
have him in every
Well,
league.
he won't be on the waiver wire. He won't be on the waiver wire alone. That is somebody that I targeted. Once I heard he was going to be off suspension, I targeted him. So I'm going to put a waiver in for him. I'm going to tell you that now. I don't mind telling you over the airlines. I
Oh
don't care.
yeah, no, I spend my money, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm.
So I
It's a
mean, so
smart
yeah.
move. It's a smart move.
I
I'm
just feel like
just
he's going to make somebody. He's going to be a surprise pick for somebody, and they're going to be extremely happy
my
with his production
in that
because he's going to be
particular
healthier.
league, Zach, my team just isn't constructed for me to want AB on my, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing more towards the next couple of years and beyond versus this year. But yeah, if you're in it to win it this year, then yeah, if he's still available, stash him right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah, I think that Antonio Brown is going to be ridiculously great. To be honest with you, that's how I feel about him. I feel like he's gonna help someone win their championship, and especially I feel like he's gonna help someone win a championship. I mean, he's gonna be
If
a
he
he's
can
gonna be a
stay out of
number
trouble,
two.
man, that's all I got to do. Stay out of
You
trouble.
you ever been told that when you were young, you were a younger man, um, thought you liked a girl, I like this girl. She's cool, people. She's all right. And then you lose said girl, and you're like, you know what, man? I didn't know how much I really like this woman. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's actually better than I thought she was.
I
And then you try to
experienced
go
that
back
too many times.
and then you should try to go back and get said girl, but she's moved on to the next person. That's
Don't know
when
what
Antonio,
she have till it's gone.
that's what Antonio Brown felt with football. I hope at least that's what it looks like he's found with football. I hope that's what he's finding with football because he came in the league a humble man, and
He
then he got his
did,
money.
and
He got his
that's the
money, and then this.
strangest part, though. That's a whole nother episode. But good points. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we're running out of time. Zach, really appreciate you hopping on,
Thank
subbing
you
in for
for the invite.
Dustin. We'll be sure to invite you back again. You're always welcome. thanks to everyone who's shown support of any way. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about our surprises and disappointments. What are your surprises and disappointments? And what do you want to see from us next? Hit us up on Twitter. We'll have our handles here for y'all. Give us a shout out. Stay easy. Zach, any last words?
I appreciate the invite again. You know, I love being on here. So yeah, anytime you want me back, man, I appreciate it. All the people out there, man, I appreciate you guys' support. This is a great podcast to be on, a great podcast to listen to. If you just love, you know, football, fantasy football in general, you know, I like, you know, I appreciate it, man. And yeah, if you have anything you want to ask me, you'll see my Twitter handle at the bottom of the screen. If you have anything you want to reach out and ask me, you know, I like consider myself an encyclopedia of football. You know, a Rolodex of these stuff.
That's what we do.
You know, so I really appreciate it. Hopefully, at the end of our season, you can let me come back on. We can tell people how it happened and what happened in the season, man. Because y'all don't know that I'm balling.
I have some big things planned, you know, in due time, but I'll keep you posted on that. But thanks again, Zach. Everyone, much love. We're signing out. We'll be back real soon. Stay tuned. Fantasy Philosophers.